Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. Of course, a list of words that conveys intelligence could fill a small dictionary, but given a little YouTube video's limitations of time, here are 19 that seem particularly useful in today's roiling times. I use a COVID-related example for each of the words to show how it might be used. And using those words, many of which aren't fancy, should add intelligence and nuance to your statements. First word is insufficient. Nuanced policymaking is difficult because of insufficient data on what dose of exposure leads to what extent of disease, and that should be disaggregated by race, gender, and underlying conditions. The next word is preponderance. Preponderance means a majority in strength or number. Typical usage of it: the preponderance of the evidence suggests that immunity to COVID from exposure is, unfortunately, only partial and temporary. Let me get a little water here. The next word is ameliorate, and its antonym, exacerbate. Those are nuanced alternatives to black and white words like cure rather than ameliorate, and exacerbate, and kill rather than exacerbate. Example: ventilators may exacerbate COVID patients' pulmonary problems because ventilators can overinflate the lungs. The next word is a simple one, but also a sign of intelligence, and that's the word why. Often an intelligent response to an assertion is why. For example, I'm curious why you believe that otherwise healthy people are more likely to establish and maintain immunity if interacting with others rather than sheltering in place. The next word is unintended consequences. In deciding whether to pursue a policy, intelligent people carefully consider the possibility of unintended consequences. For example, an unintended consequence of sheltering in place may be an increase in domestic violence. Antithetical. That means opposed. Nationwide restrictions are antithetical to the nuanced decision-making required in weighing the impacts of the medical and economic curves. Evoke. That's a politically correct synonym for the word trigger. Yelling at someone who's not wearing a mask risks evoking a verbal and even physical tirade and hardening the person's position. Ostensibly. That means it would seem to. Ostensibly, people won't contract COVID if following the recommended guidelines, but there are a disconcerting number of COVID patients who claim they couldn't have been exposed, the so-called cases of unknown origin or silent transmission. Next, full dimensioned. That means comprehensive. Effectively changing the behavior of recalcitrant social distancers appears to require a more full-dimensioned examination. What are the personal beliefs and social forces that need to be addressed, and how? Traditional public service announcements, messages from celebrities, from community leaders, social media, signage on billboards and at high-foot traffic locations, community meetings, and maybe other approaches that might be unearthed by talking non-judgmentally with non-compliant people. Next is lemming. A lemming is an animal that, according to myth, will foolishly follow other lemmings off a cliff to their death. In common parlance, a lemming refers to someone who mindlessly follows other people. Some people, seeing their friends not social distancing, are, like lemmings, getting too close to each other. Edifying. This means educating in an important way. I find it edifying to compare the New York Times' and the Wall Street Journal's perspectives on how the U.S. is handling the pandemic. Time effective. That's an approach to a task that yields the most benefit per minute. A time-effective approach to developing a vaccine may be automated assays of messenger RNA. Metric. That's a factor that's selected for measurement. The trend in hospitalizations would seem a more valid metric than is the trend in cases. Reframe. That means to look at an issue from a different perspective. If we reframe mask wearing as a new normal or even a sign of coolness or collective empowerment rather than an overreaction, we might improve the compliance rate. Inordinate means unnecessarily large. It's premature to put inordinate focus on one approach to vaccine development. too much is yet unknown, for example regarding length of immunity effects conferred upon antibodies and T cells. Humankind. The user of the word humankind indicates a broad perspective when they render an opinion or a statement. Given that AIDS researchers have been searching unsuccessfully for a vaccine for 40 years, it may be that humankind will have to accept COVID's joining the many diseases that aren't completely preventable. Zeitgeist. That means spirit of an era. Users of the term zeitgeist recognize that recently developed orthodoxy needs to stand the test of some time before earning status as truth. The current zeitgeist is one of distrust of both politicians and the media, which militates against the public making wise decisions regarding COVID, as well as on other issues. And finally, the word wisdom. That refers to knowledge at a higher plane. One of society's challenges is how to infuse wisdom into people's behavior regarding COVID, as well as more broadly. In any event, I thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko. I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments, and I especially like it if you hit the share button below, share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact, and I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. And in any event, I do thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko.